I'm Steve Jasper, and I'm the jet lag guy. Welcome to this week's episode of Jet Lag in the News. The big news. There was a study of about 3,000 US medical interns wearing health trackers on their wrists for a year. The researchers found on average the medical interns' daily step count and the time they spent awake were both higher in summer than in winter. We are, after all, seasonal animals. But some participants showed little to no difference between summer and winter, and some even showed opposite patterns, increasing their step count in the winter months. The medical interns did shift work, as medical interns do, and the researchers found that the interns who had the greatest seasonal difference in step count also showed the most disruption from winter night shifts to their sleep-wake cycle, but not disrupted by as much with their summer night shift. The differences in circadian rhythms were linked to variations in a specific gene called SLC20A2, responsible for the protein sodium-dependent phosphase transporter 2. We know that working night shifts is associated with weight gain and low-quality sleep, so research can support shift workers, many of who do essential work such as nurses, doctors, police, or firefighters. What would also interest me as a jet lag researcher is travelling from one hemisphere to another and the seasonal change that goes with that. I've often left Australia in winter to the northern hemisphere in summer or vice versa, and I'd be interested in seeing if that has an effect on circadian rhythm. We are, after all, seasonal animals. But some scary research coming from Uppsala University in Sweden. In a study with 16 healthy young men, researchers found that only after 3 nights of poor sleep of around 4 hours a night, there was an increase in inflammatory proteins in the blood. When these proteins are elevated for a long time, they can increase the risk of heart failure, coronary heart disease, and atrial fibrillation by damaging blood vessels. The time of day also had an effect on the inflammatory protein levels, so this effect was more visible at certain times of the day. Given that this was a study done in healthy young men, it potentially has implications for older travellers or for those with increased cardiac risk factors. In a review out of China, researchers analysed 25 observational studies of social jet lag from 5 electronic databases. They found a, quote, statistically significant but small correlation between social jet lag and depressive symptoms. There was also, quote, a weak but significant negative correlation that was found between social jet lag and general mental health. The researchers suggest, quote, that social jet lag exerts a modest yet significant effect on mental health and that there should be public health measures to prevent social jet lag. I completely agree. In research out of Poland, researchers have been examining a potential link between estradiol, an estrogen, a female sex hormone, and chronotype. The link between testosterone levels and eveningness in males has been demonstrated, and the researchers were looking if there's a similar link in women. In a study of 186 women, the results showed, quote, no association between estradiol levels and chronotype or morningness eveningness. However, lower estradiol levels were observed in individuals experiencing greater sleep loss throughout the weekdays. These findings suggest that estradiol does not influence habitual sleep timing, but may be diminished by insufficient sleep. So, that is the possible relationship between estrogen and sleep. A lack of sleep may decrease estrogen levels. The latest update with Vanda Pharmaceuticals drug tasimelteon, marketed as Hetlioz, and their dispute with the American Food and Drug Administration, FDA, in approving it for jet lag. The case went to the US Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, where Judge Bradley N. Garcia stated that the FDA's refusal to hold a hearing before denying Vanda's supplemental new drug application for jet lag was, quote, arbitrary and capricious, and that the case should be sent back to the FDA for future proceedings. Tasimelteon, or Hetlioz, is a melatonin analogue, and if this eventually is approved for the indication of jet lag, it may give some international business travellers an additional option of managing their jet lag by prescription. Melbourne Airport has been ranked as the least convenient airport in Australia to exactly nobody's surprise. Isabella from The Guardian wrote, quote, travel insurance company iSelect ranked Australia's 11 major airports on factors like cost of transport to and from the airport, parking and queue durations, then assigned each airport with an overall convenience index score. And Melbourne came in last. Not even a close last, no, a very, very distant last, well behind Sydney. The winner was a tie between, and it shames me to say this, Canberra and Townsville. A big part of why Melbourne fared so badly is that its airport is a long way out of town, which really, as it should be. No one wants an airport on their doorstep, Sydney, but also because there's no rail link to the airport. Sydney, Brisbane, and now Perth all have direct rail links to their airports. The state government might finally be building a rail link to the airport. There's one celebrity that is not succumbing to jet lag. According to Travis Kelce, his partner Taylor Swift is an athlete. Quote, she may not think of herself as an athlete. She will never tell anyone that she is an athlete. But I've seen what she goes through. I've seen the amount of work she puts on her body, and it's mind-blowing. With all the tourist stops, there is constant jet lag. Although Taylor Swift has joked that jet lag is a choice and tweeted, quote, according to my jet lag, it is 100 o'clock Celsius. That is how jet lag feels. And if you think your jet lag is bad, spare a thought for Emma Stone, who starred in Spider-Man. She said that her press tours were, quote, truly psychotic. She said that regarding the press tours, quote, I don't know how people do it, adding, quote, I remember it being in 9 countries in 2 weeks. You're functioning in a state of jet lag previously unknown to you. I felt truly psychotic the entire time. I'm half dead. Psst. I can help, Emma. Truly, I can. That's my job. If you have any questions or want to know more about what I do, especially if your name is Emma Stone, check out my website at www.jetlagguy.com.au. There's another book on the way, and you'll be the first to know when it's released. It's this week's Jet Lag in the News. I'm Steve Jasper, aka the Jet Lag Guy. Thank you.